Senior Counsel with Article 3 Project, Josh Hammer, joining me now to talk about all this garbage in our nation's capital. And I mean literal garbage and figurative garbage. Josh, how you been, brother?
Dan, it's great to see you as always, my friend.
All right, you're an attorney. I'm not. I got to ask you the law. There's an act. It's on the books. This is legit. Democrats can piss and moan all they want, but Trump has full authorization, legal authorization to do this. Yes?
Yes, I believe he does. Yeah, so Section 740 of a 1973 statute called the D.C. Home Rule Act, which is the legal basis for the executive order that Donald Trump signed and the entire announcement at the White House on Monday earlier this week. Though I've reviewed the language appears to me to be pretty straightforward. The president deems that there is an emergency, and upon deeming that there is an emergency, the Metropolitan Police Department, aka the Washington Police, has to be turned over to federal control, essentially upon his saying that there is an emergency there. Now, I'm sure that left-wing NGOs, left-wing public interest law firms, if they haven't already filed suit already, they will do so ASAP. Mm-hmm. But Dan, the way that this works is you have to think about what a federal court could actually do. Could a federal court say that, no, this is actually not an emergency that would necessitate invoking Section 740 of the statute there? The actual proper legal answer there, assuming for the sake of argument that there are good judges there, they would say that this is a political question that is not the judge's role. Now, having said that, Dan, we've seen this play out many times thus far in this administration. There are a lot of these left-wing groups will sue in very favorable jurisdictions there where the case is likely going to get to a lower court, left-wing judicial insurrectionist activist hack there. So I'm not going to predict that there's not going to be a stupid judge who's going to try to strike this thing down.
There's going to be lawfare. They've been doing it before he's candidate Trump, and lawfare since he's President Trump. It's all they got.
It's all they got. But I do think that the executive order is on firm ground. It's actually even more robust than what I just said, actually. If you go back and read the actual Constitution, Dan, the Constitution is very clear. The framers of this country did not want Washington, D.C. to be anything remotely resembling independent. It was a purely federal district to be directly governed by the Congress and to an extent the executive branch as well. It was carved out by tiny territorial cessations from both Maryland and Virginia, and this was the federal district. Contemporary D.C., where you have bars and restaurants and luxury condos.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to be that way.
None of this.
I know.
Totally not.
No, the Founding Fathers did not want it to become the deep state swamp that it has become. I want to run this from the Washington, D.C. Police Union head, who is all for this. And, you know, unions usually lean left, but not this guy. Watch this.
Crime in the District of Columbia is out of control and something needs to be done with it. We have to go back to how we got here, though. In 2020, the D.C. City Council passed an enormous amount of legislation that handcuffs police officers, exposes them to administrative, civil, and even criminal liability, even when they do their jobs properly. And now, 5 years later, our authorized sworn strength is 4,000 sworn police officers. We currently have 3,180. So we have more than 800 vacancies for the position of police officer. And the way the department makes up for that gap is through 2 million hours of mandatory overtime every year. So the fact that we need help from federal law enforcement and maybe even the National Guard, it shouldn't come as a surprise. And we agree with that. I think one of the issues here, though, is that we all know that's going to be temporary. So in order to fix this problem and make sure that it doesn't ebb and flow and that the feds come in and we lower crime and then they leave and we're left holding the bag, it's very important that people know that there is underlying legislation that needs to be corrected so that we can actually properly staff this police department.
So obviously the cops want help. Did you hear the numbers? They're down 800, he said. So sending in 800 guard troops kind of makes sense when you have 800 less cops that you should have on the streets. And you know what? I can't blame cops. You go to most blue cities. I live in San Diego, and I know this department was down. I don't think they're back to numbers. A lot of blue cities, since the whole defund the police movement crap by Democrats and putting a target on their backs, calling even black cops racist, all the naysayers that come from the crazy left, why would cops want to do their job, especially in a city like that? Josh, you've been around D.C., like I said, way more than me. What is it like when you're walking around there? It doesn't feel safe anymore like it used to, does it?
Well, it's actually even worse than that because the guy that we just heard there, the head of the police union, he actually deserves a lot of credit because the police union in D.C. is the reason that one of the district commanders of the Washington Police Department is actually on suspension. So the commander of District 3 of the Washington Metro PD has been on suspension now for about a month because it turns out that thanks to a whistleblower in the union, the guy that we just saw there, we know that the head of District 3 was forging crime data. He was basically saying that there was less crime in D.C. than there actually is, and he's been suspended now for almost a month pending further investigation from Muriel Bowser.
Cooking the books.
Yeah,
Cooking
exactly.
the books.
I mean, try to make it better than it actually is. Look, Dan, I live in Florida, but I've lived in D.C. for numerous years.
So.
I spent a decent amount of time there. I'm back and forth for conferences, meetings, so forth there. Anyone who's telling you that D.C. is as safe as it was 5-10 years ago is totally lying. It is 1,000% not as safe there. Even in the very nice, quote-unquote, neighborhoods like Georgetown, Foggy Bottom.
There's carjackings and robberies and stuff all the time I hear about in those nice areas. Yeah.
All the time.
Josh, thank you, brother. We appreciate you. Come on anytime. Take care.
Thanks, Dan.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.